On the California coast, where the mountains cascade into the sea, a ribbon of road rides down the edge of the continent. Highway 1 is a singular experience, and this winding 70-mile stretch, hugging the steep coastline of Big Sur, is why bucket lists exist. What do you think of this coastline driving up and down here?
I think it's phenomenal.
For tourists like Linda Carroll of St. Paul, Minnesota, the feeling is divine.
If you didn't believe in God and you were down here, you definitely would have to, because it's just spectacular.
So does this view ever get old?
No, because it's always changing.
Kirk Gaffill has spent his life on the bluffs of Big Sur. He runs Nepenthe Restaurant, where the tables come with a view so wide it shifts your perspective. Gaffill's grandparents first moved here in 1947, after Hollywood royalty moved out.
They bought the property from Rita Hayworth and Orson Welles, who had bought the property a couple of years earlier on their honeymoon trip, and then got divorced. And so they decided to build a restaurant.
Elizabeth Taylor and Richard Burton filmed scenes at Nepenthe for the 1965 film The Sandpiper. But the true star of the show around here has always been Highway 1, opened in 1937 in a burst of optimism at the end of the Great Depression. So this road, Highway 1, has been a part of your entire life.
Yeah, it is the part of Big Sur that is fundamental to living here, to having a business here, and so access is everything.
And right now, there are signs of trouble in paradise. As we sit here today, the road is closed just south of here. What does that do to your business?
It represents about a 30 to 35% drop in business levels. We know these closures are going to happen. It's just a matter of when, not if. It's almost become an annualized event.
Fierce storms from 2 back-to-back wet winters have battered the Santa Lucia Mountains, causing landslides that have buried and broken the road in 4 places.
When the bridge fell north of here, and we had a big landslide to the south, we lived in what we call the island. So we were essentially closed off.
Beautiful what you've done with it, too. Magnus Torin lives in Big Sur, where he runs the Henry Miller Memorial Library, dedicated to the writer who helped put the area on the map in the 1950s.
This is the California that men dreamed of years ago. This is the face of the earth as the Creator intended it to look.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's almost as dramatic as the landscape.
Right.
Torin lives just a few miles from where Highway 1 comes to an abrupt end, closed to the south for nearly 2 years. Are you concerned in the future that this road and this situation here becomes more precarious?
Of course. I mean, who wouldn't be? I've asked the question, can we continue to keep this highway open forever when it gets so assaulted by landslides and also fires?
Scientists say climate change is fueling more frequent and intense wildfires and more powerful winter storms, a potent mix that increases the risk of landslides in an area already prone to them. In the past 5 years, California has spent nearly $230 million repairing just this stretch of Highway 1. I mean, that's real money.
That is real money, absolutely, but it's an important roadway for California. This is part of the original road.
Tony Taveras is director of California's Department of Transportation.
You know, climate change is something that I think nationally we talk about in the distant future. Here in California, we're experiencing it every day.
Further up the coast, erosion forced Caltrans to move sections of Highway 1 400 feet inland. But with mountains on one side and the Pacific on the other, there's nowhere to go along Big Sur. Is it possible to make this thing resilient in the face of what's to come?
We are doing our best. We believe it's possible. I can tell you right now, we're not abandoning this roadway.
Is Highway 1 simply too big to fail?
I would say it is too important to fail, absolutely.
And while there are certainly easier places to live, Magnus Torin says there are none more beautiful. For so many of us who come through here on a road trip, this is a once-in-a-lifetime thing.
Yeah.
This is your everyday.
It is, yeah. I do sometimes pinch myself and think, how could I have been so lucky? Yeah, so I'm very grateful.
Much has been made over the years about living the California dream. The question is, can money, a lot of money, build that dream from the ground up? Luke Burbank found a place where some tech giants are trying to do just that.
For over 5 years, starting back in 2018, something mysterious was going on.
It's a nearly $1 billion land purchase.
Just 90 minutes northeast of San Francisco,
no one, not even the federal government, can figure out who's behind it.
a secretive group was purchasing farmland, lots of it, some 60,000 acres in rural Solano County, California. Many feared it might be a Chinese government plot to try to set up shop near Travis Air Force Base.
Like a lot of people, I was chasing it around, running into the usual locked doors.
But as the New York Times' Connor Doherty, who helped break the story, found out,
Solano is a kind of unusual county.
the truth was even stranger than the rumors.
I got a tip from someone that what was behind the locked doors was the richest people in the world quietly buying all this farmland. Reid Hoffman, the founder of LinkedIn venture capitalist, Laurene Powell Jobs, the founder of the Emerson Collective and Steve Jobs' widow, Mark Andreessen of the Andreessen Horowitz venture capital firm. Just really a who's who of Silicon Valley was involved in this.
Something else surprising, within hours of Doherty's big scoop, this mysterious company launched a website and publicly identified itself as California Forever, an ambitious plan to build a brand new kind of city for as many as 400,000 residents.
We knew this would be controversial when we announced the project.
And this is the guy behind it.
I had a hunch that this was a really good place to do something like this.
Jan Šremik, a 37-year-old Czech-born former Goldman Sachs trader turned aspiring city builder.
You can see Travis Air Force Base is out here.
Who has to try to convince the public that the project isn't just an oasis for billionaires or some high-tech city of the future.
So over there would be a downtown.
His vision is to turn all of this into a walkable city in the mold of Savannah, Georgia, or Philadelphia, PA, or New York's West Village.
So if you are successful with this, how will this still be a place that middle-class people could even afford?
By continuing to build for a long time. And so if we look at why places have become unaffordable, it's because they've just stopped building. Instead of taking all of these well-paying jobs that are being created in Northern California and sending them to Texas or Florida, let's create a place where we can send them to Solano County.
A place where our children's future can be bright. Walkable middle-class neighborhoods with homes we can afford.
The project's fate will ultimately be decided this November by the voters of Solano County, who have to decide whether or not to overturn a 3 decades-old law restricting where new development can go.
We're going to have total gridlock. You need to work on your soft skills. Don't insult us when you come to talk to us.
Jan Šremik's charm offensive has been met with, let's just say, a healthy amount of skepticism by many locals.
You're not going to answer that question because telling the truth is not in your nature.
The current proposal is to build a city about 2 miles up this road.
Locals like Al Medvitz and Jeannie McCormack, they're some of the last holdouts here. Most of their neighbors have sold to California Forever at far over market value, but they've turned down millions to keep farming this 3,700-acre ranch, which has been in Jeannie's family for more than a century.
Having developers come was always a fear my whole childhood because California was just changing so fast with development in farm areas.
Many of their neighbors who didn't sell have been sued by California Forever, who's accused them of colluding to raise land prices in the area, a charge they deny.
The housing is important, there's no question about it, but there are appropriate ways to do it.
We're reaching out to voters because the East Solano Plan was recently submitted as an initiative to the county.
California Forever is sparing no expense to try to win over county residents.
Welcome, everyone. Thanks for joining us tonight.
In what the New York Times' Connor Doherty says could be the most expensive political campaign in the history of Solano County.
The idea that this tech money is being redirected to this very kind of brick and mortar thing as an investment is kind of weird to me. Is it just that there's that much money to be made potentially?
Everyone thinks I'm crazy when I say this, but I just don't think it's principally about money. I think that many of the people involved are extremely frustrated that the pace of change in the physical world has lagged so far behind the pace of change in the digital world. If we could redesign everything and not have to deal with all the inherited problems that cities come with, that would make everything so much easier.
California Forever still has plenty of hurdles to clear, some that may prove impossible.
Most of the beloved cities in America looked like this, not that many years ago.
But Shremick insists this idea of designing and building a relatively affordable, walkable city within the nation's most unaffordable and car-centric state is in fact possible. He says his company has the know-how, the patience, and critically, the deep pockets to make it a reality.
To me, success is that in 10 or 15 years, Solano County is this incredible economic success story that people all over America are looking at and saying, can we replicate that here? Where with good design and a good idea and the right partnerships locally, you can build something special.
Do you see yourself living there with your family?
Yeah, I'll be moving in the first house. My wife is already designing it in her head.
Most of us have felt the urge to get away from it all. And then there's Brent Underwood, who's taken that concept to a whole new level, as Luke Burbank explains.
All right, it's day 2 here at Cerro Gordo. 6 months by myself.
8 months.
There might only be a few people on planet Earth who can say they've been more socially distant during the pandemic than Brent Underwood.
So I thought, hey, what better place to socially distance than an abandoned town in the middle of nowhere? And so packed up my truck, I drove out here.
Here, perched on the edge of Death Valley, 8 miles up a winding dirt road, is the abandoned mining town of Cerro Gordo, California. Population, Brent.
Hello! Do you ever start to feel sort of like Tom Hanks in Castaway?
So I do. People think that it's a really lonely place, and it can be, but I think to combat that, I remind myself that a lot of people are lonely in the past year.
So where are we standing right now?
This is one of the original cabins.
Underwood isn't just Cerro Gordo's sole resident, he also owns it, all 380 acres. Back in 2018, he and some business partners bought it to turn it into a tourist destination by restoring the town and its old hotel.
It was $1.4 million. I didn't have anywhere close to that much, but I had enough to put down the earnest money deposit. So it was, let's secure this thing and let's figure out the rest later.
As it turns out, people have been taking a chance on Cerro Gordo ever since 1865, when silver was discovered here, high in the Inyo Mountains.
Things during the silver period were wild.
Roger Vargo is an expert on Cerro Gordo, who co-wrote a book about it, along with his wife, Cecile.
We talk about a Wild West town right out of a Clint Eastwood movie. Various newspaper accounts had shootings once a week, stabbings, other kinds of violence.
At its peak in 1872, Cerro Gordo generated roughly $150 million, adjusted for inflation, in silver and lead mining. But like all booms, things eventually went bust. By the 1930s, Cerro Gordo was all but abandoned. Over the years, a series of different owners lived here and maintained the town before 34-year-old Brent Underwood bought it.
How long do you think you're going to stay here?
A long time. During my time up here, my parents sold my childhood home. And so when people ask me what's home now, it's like, it's Cerro Gordo. This is my home.
Underwood left his city life in Austin, Texas, where he ran a hostel, to live and work full-time at Cerro Gordo.
And then slowly, I rebuilt the floor.
And it is very much a full-time job.
Do you know how to build things? Do you have a background in that?
No, I do not. And so I'm learning on the job training, if you will.
But of course, living in an abandoned mining town has its perks.
So 400 feet of ladder would lead you down to the 400 level.
Brent gets to explore the mines, which haven't been touched in decades.
And looky what we have here.
And the stuff that he finds?
I don't want to get anybody too excited too early, but there's definitely some garments over here.
It all goes into his museum.
The most common type of bottle you find here is the Lee and Perrins Worcestershire sauce.
Really?
Because the meat was so bad, they needed to put a lot of sauce on all of the meat that was here.
And when he finds cool things, Underwood is sure to put them on his YouTube channel, Ghost Town Living.
Wouldn't really be a mining adventure without finding one of those.
He shares both the highs and the lows of living in Cerro Gordo.
About 5 hours ago, around 2:30 in the morning, a fire burned down our hotel here at Cerro Gordo.
The videos have become so popular
We wanted to come up and meet you because we've seen your videos and think
that fans often trek up the mountain.
So I just wanted to come meet you.
Thank you, that's awesome.
To volunteer or just tell Brent they love the channel.
Someone's chasing a dream. That's what I see. I see somebody who's able to do what others would only think about in the back of their mind. And you got this guy right here, and they're doing it.
Have you been pleasantly surprised how he's thrown himself into it?
Oh, absolutely. He's gained an understanding of Cerro Gordo that you can only get when you actually live there and experience it for an extended amount of time.
Of course, even his biggest fans eventually head back down the mountain.
This is Lola.
For now, Underwood's cats,
How are you?
goats, and alpacas
You're home. Be free.
will have to do for companionship. His priority, he says, is to rebuild that town hotel that burned down so he can start hosting paying customers. Who knows? Maybe Cerro Gordo has one last boom in it after all.
It was here before I was here, so I just see myself as the current chaperone, and to do my best, I'm willing to give it my all, you know.
And now, a chapter in the story of these United States. This is Lee Cowan. $35 million in 1933, almost $1 billion in today's dollars. That was the price tag to build this. Considered the grandest of bridges, golden in its silhouette against California's setting sun. By all accounts, building the Golden Gate Bridge was really a ludicrous idea. It was too long a span, too high, too treacherous. San Francisco Bay had never been particularly welcoming, after all. It's cold, its currents are merciless, its fog disorienting. But in the midst of the Great Depression, most would have built a bridge to the end of the earth if it paid.
The world's largest single span across San Francisco's Golden Gate rapidly takes shape.
It took 4 years and 10,000 people to get it done, many of them toiling at terrifying heights with only a safety net between them and the water that was nearly 800 feet below.
We used to have to go from one cage to the other on a 2x12 plank up there, 500-600 feet, no handrails or nothing on it. Believe me, it was hairy.
Workers like Frenchie Gales, whom Charles Kuralt met in 1987.
Did you ever fall off?
Well, I was walking across one of the cross beams, and a gust of wind coming, I just went off backwards there and landed my tail in the thing, and I was so scared I just stood there like a gopher in a hole.
But you hit the net?
Oh, yeah, the net was in already. She scared the hell out of me when I felt that fall.
Some were killed instantly on the job. Many, many more were maimed by lead poisoning and falling steel objects. The ones who were left each night climbed up there again the next morning.
The Golden Gate is for the West Coast what the Statue of Liberty is for the East Coast. The symbol of freedom, possibility, and hope. Aspirations just as lofty as the bridge itself.
The old Santa Barbara Mission was founded by Spanish Franciscans in 1786. It's just one of the picturesque sites that helped put Santa Barbara on the map. The bells have been ringing at the mission for more than 2 centuries. But the first residents of this area date back thousands of years to the Chumash people. The town was named by the Spanish explorer, Sebastian Vizcaíno. in 1602 for Saint Barbara, the 3rd century Christian martyr. When Spanish settlers arrived in the 18th century, they built, along with the Chumash, El Presidio, a fort to protect the California coast from foreign invasion. The nearby mission was built soon after, setting a Spanish architectural style that endures to this day. When an earthquake nearly destroyed the mission and much of the city in 1925, local visionaries ensured that Santa Barbara would rebuild and rebound in the same design. And did it ever. Soon this oceanfront jewel, 2 hours from Los Angeles, became known as the Hollywood to the north. Silent film pioneer Charlie Chaplin built California's first major movie studio here, Flying A Studios, producing hundreds of movies. In the coming years, this once sleepy seaside town became a place where people from all over would escape for fun in the sun. Chef Julia Childs spent both her childhood and retirement on these beaches. Today, with its outdoor lifestyle, fresh seafood, and beautiful homes, Santa Barbara is the epitome of the California dream. A secondhand pair of jeans, a rumpled sweater, even old boxer shorts. They don't sound like the sort of thing that would command top dollar on the auction block, but that depends, Lee Cowan tells us, on who once wore them.
15,000 people pay from $3 to $1,000 to honor Mr. Kennedy.
It was 1962, a celebration of John F. Kennedy's 45th birthday.
This lovely lady, Marilyn Monroe.
But for one breathless moment, it looked like Marilyn Monroe had shown up to the party naked.
Happy birthday to you.
That dress caused a stir then and again nearly 63 years later, when it sold at auction for $4.8 million, a world record. It was put up by the same auction house that also sold Michael Jackson's sequin glove, Olivia Newton-John's greaser jacket.
Tell me about it, stud.
Even this box containing Truman Capote's ashes.
Items that we've sold 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 15 years ago, that comes back to the auction, sells for multiple times of what we sold it for way back then.
Martin Nolan and Darren Julien.
This is Mariah Carey's.
Are the heart and fanboy souls of Julien's auctions.
UK telephone booth owned by Ringo Starr,
which has been making quite a name for itself in the celebrity memorabilia space of late.
I'll take one of the guitars.
The two of them couldn't be more different.
That's cool.
Really cool.
Martin is from rural Ireland, Darren is from rural Indiana. But 20 years ago, they saw a potential market that few others did.
So these are Marilyn Monroe's jeans from River of
Martin and Darren, along with their staff, like Director of Appraisals Laura Woolley, have proven that there's value in what other auction houses sometimes overlook.
They're actually JCPenney's, which is kind of fun.
Oh my gosh.
Sure, Marilyn Monroe's jeans will likely go for tens of thousands of dollars, but what about her personal eyeshadow? Or Elvis Presley's gas card? Or a simple plaque from Judy Garland's dressing room? Each of those sold for less than $11,000. Now that's not cheap, but it's not the price of fine art either, said one collector.
He had said that it's a lot sexier to have John Lennon's guitar on the wall than a Picasso.
Mind you, he did have Picasso's
yeah,
as well.
He did.
But he was buying his youth.
Julien's real innovation was the idea that if a celebrity was big enough, they didn't need to be pushing up daisies to be pushing items up for auction.
Well, and I remember Cher, when we were trying to talk her into an auction, she goes, "But guys, I'm not dead yet."
Julien's has auctioned off hundreds of Cher's belongings.
It had to be you.
While that Bob Mackie dress she wore on the Sonny and Cher show went for more than $100,000, Julien's also sold this, her armadillo lamp. As unfortunate looking as it is, Cher revealed it was actually given to her by Kiss bassist Gene Simmons.
No wonder that relationship didn't last. But it took it from probably $20, $50 piece to a $6,000 armadillo lamp because it's got a great story.
You know, you go into a Sotheby's, you go into a Christie's auction, it's like, oh, the finest jewelry are here being sold, right? And Julien's like, I like to think that we're a little bit more of a rock and roll auction house for sure.
We're gonna sell it at $27,500.
Cody Frederick, Julien's auctioneer,
sold at $27,000.
will never forget when this lot came up. A Rolling Stones themed toilet seat cover.
You know, with the red tongue,
Turns out it belonged to Bill Wyman, the former bass player for the actual Rolling Stones. It sold for more than $1,000.
And I'm just like, is that a world record on toilet seat covers? It's gotta be.
Julien's 50,000 square foot warehouse in Los Angeles is full of both the ridiculous and the rare.
This is Princess Diana's hats. These are her shoes. These are her handbags.
From Princess Diana's outerwear
How do we make this dignified?
to John F. Kennedy's underwear.
You know a lot about a piece going in. The one thing you don't know is how much emotional value other people place on that piece until you get into that auction room.
It's even at a weird slant in the film.
Collector Dan Lanigan has spent 30 years buying up movie props, stuff that studios would often just throw away.
Maybe 20 years ago, 30 years ago, some of the stuff you could have gotten for next to nothing, right?
Yeah.
Why? What changed?
The understanding that people can get this stuff. Julien's found this piece.
That's John Belushi's hat from the Blues Brothers movie.
Which is one of those films that ever since I was a kid, I adored.
How much for the little girl?
He bought it for more than $28,000. Not the most he spent, not by any means. Blade Runner is one of his favorite movies.
Deckard's blaster? No way.
That gun is a holy grail for Blade Runner fans.
Paid through the nose for it. Paid as much as I paid for pretty much anything.
But choose wisely.
Speaking of holy grails, Dan actually has one. The grail used in Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade.
That's the cup of a carpenter.
That's the cup of a carpenter.
That's right. That's the cup of a carpenter.
Oh, man.
When I bring someone like yourself and show my collection, like, oh, is that from that? Or is that from that? Oh my gosh, that's amazing. I've had people cry when they see a piece from their favorite film. Really?
Will you ever have enough, you think?
Oh, I have too much.
I
have enough. I have too much, yeah.
He won't say how much his collection is worth. We can't even tell you where he stores it all.
So the costume was actually worn by Arnold.
The props are all prisoners to his passion, something only fellow collectors, he says, understand.
The connections really matter to people.
They do. They do.
Is that a Banksy?
And this is a Banksy, yes. This is...
Back at Julien's, more items were coming in and going out. Each with a story, each with a past. And there were plenty that Martin wasn't quite ready to reveal.
But you can't tell me whose it is.
I cannot tell you, but if you watch this space, check Julien very often.
Terry, this is the closest I will ever get to John F. Kennedy. My mother would be so proud.
This past Thursday, JFK's white boxers became a red-hot item.
Sold $7,000 paddle number.
That's $3,500 a leg. Not bad for something that could have gotten lost in the laundry.
In the southern end of the San Francisco Bay, less than 2,500 yards away from the 50-yard line of Levi's Stadium in Santa Clara, California, there's a vibrant patchwork of ponds, saturated with salt.
How much salt are you taking out of these ponds every year?
Well, this year we're taking about 650,000 tons.
Matt Pitcher is the solar plant manager for Cargill, which runs a bustling salt works here. Native Americans harvested sea salt from natural ponds in this area, but commercial production really ramped up in the mid-1800s during the gold rush.
You couldn't have had the gold without the salt, right? So all the people that came here needed to preserve their food to get over to the areas where they were mining.
The bay is naturally salty, but the ponds concentrate that salt over a 2-year process of pumping and evaporation. A pool's salinity also impacts its color, thanks to microorganisms which thrive in the brine until the ponds are eventually drained.
That John Deere tractor is pulling our harvester, which is loading salt into this haul truck right here.
Sea salt remains a big business. It's used in everything from swimming pools to snack foods, although the process has streamlined over the years. Salt production once occurred on more than 50,000 acres. Today, Cargill operates on just 12,000.
So everything that we're seeing around us was once a salt pond?
That's right. And before that, it was marsh. So for thousands of years, it was marsh. Then for about 100 years, it was salt pond, and now it's back to marsh.
Okay, so it's really just sort of a blip in the history of this landscape was the salt production.
That's right.
Rachel Curtis is a wildlife biologist at the Don Edwards San Francisco Bay National Wildlife Refuge, established in the late 1970s on former salt ponds. Due to all sorts of human development in the years since the gold rush, we've lost 85% of the tidal marshes which once surrounded the bay.
Do you feel like marshes are underappreciated?
Absolutely. Yeah, they're very flat. It's a subtle beauty, but just being able to find marshes in this urban area with 7 million people, you can go in an area and not see anyone.
But getting this to look like this takes some work.
The erosion protection has been installed. The trail has essentially been surfaced on the other side. We're adding a long public access trail.
Dave Housing is the executive project manager for the South Bay Salt Pond Restoration Project. In 2003, state and federal agencies acquired 15,000 acres from Cargill, a mix of sales and donations, with the goal of turning much of that acreage back into marshland.
Marshes are important for a number of reasons. They're important wildlife habitat for endangered species, but also for fish. They're highly productive habitats. They absorb pollutants from the water, so they make the bay cleaner. They buffer and protect the adjacent built lands behind them from wave run-up, storms, high tides.
Restoration begins by breaking down walled-off ponds.
What we're doing here is what we call a breach, a levee breach, so that there's aquatic connectivity between the inside of the pond and the sloughs in the bay around it.
The water mixes with mud, and eventually plants and wildlife return. Everything from ducks to egrets to the endangered salt marsh harvest mouse. The restored marshland is also well used by humans. In the heart of bustling Silicon Valley, these former salt ponds offer an opportunity to take a time out.
I mean, being an urban refuge really lets us connect people to nature, whereas otherwise they might not have that. And so we see it as an opportunity to provide access to these wild areas to our local community.
Faith Saley this morning shows us the work of an artist who could turn almost anything into a masterpiece. Now on display.
So this is your mom's love letter to San Francisco.
Absolutely. Some people refer to it as sort of a Where's Waldo because there's so many things to find.
Artist Ruth Asawa never followed a straight line.
You can find Willie Mays, the San Francisco Giants, the opera, City Hall,
I mean, Abraham
library.
Lincoln's over there.
Yes.
The San Francisco Fountain in the city's Union Square is an endless treasure trove of Bay Area knowledge.
So your mother asked children to help create this?
There are about 250 people worked on it.
It's just one of Asawa's 11 public works here, and a reminder for Paul Lanier and his sister Addie Lanier, the youngest of her 6 children, of their mother's commitment to community.
Your mom strikes me as someone who could make art out of anything.
She said that she would be fulfilled making something out of mud and paper because it's the process that is the important thing for the artist.
Asawa, who would have turned 100 this year, is best known for her looped wire structures, a continuous line of wire bent and woven to create a free-hanging sculpture.
The media that she worked in is very economical. It's industrial wire. It's like the baling wire that you would find on a farm.
She learned to be resourceful from a young age, finding materials everywhere. Her media ranged from baker's clay in the kitchen to recycled paper.
What was she like as a mom?
Well, she's just like your mom or anyone's mom, making lunches and breakfast, getting people out of the house.
But she used blowtorches on the front deck.
Asawa spent her early years on a farm in Southern California working alongside her parents. Her childhood was cut short during World War II when she, along with other Japanese Americans, were sent to detention camps.
In the early 1940s, she was incarcerated along with more than 120,000 people of Japanese descent under Executive Order 9066.
Kara Maines is the curator of a Ruth Asawa retrospective, now on view at New York's Museum of Modern Art.
There, in the face of this incredible adversity, that she first learned to draw in these kind of grassroots drawing lessons that were led by fellow detainees who were animators for the Disney studios.
After the war, Asawa landed at North Carolina's famed art school, Black Mountain College, where she honed her skills with mentors like German-born artist Joseph Albers and choreographer Merce Cunningham.
These sculptures seem to have a life of their own.
They're very dynamic, no? They're really animated, and they change as we move around them.
A special aspect of Asawa's work is its unpredictable rhythm.
Sometimes by looking at the shadow cast by a given sculpture, you can understand how many layers of wire mesh there is, in a way that you might not be able to discern from head on.
Everyone could become art in Asawa's home, according to her children, Paul and Addie.
If someone came over, she would say, "You have such a nice face. Can I cast it?" And so they would say yes. They didn't know what they were agreeing to.
But she could get away with it. She could do this with total strangers.
While her works fetch millions at auction now, she didn't find much commercial success during her lifetime. But that wasn't her purpose.
When people discover your mother and her work, what do you think she's saying to them?
I think people breathe. I think people take a big, deep breath and go, oh my God. I think it's like wonder and awe. It's kind of the experiment of what one person can do. Learn a technique, do something, pass it on, right?
A music landmark is celebrating its 100th birthday. Luke Burbank has found us two on the aisle at the Hollywood Bowl.
If you're looking for the perfect LA day, you'll want to soak up the sun and play in the sand at one of its many beaches. But for the perfect LA night, you'll need to head about 20 miles inland for an evening under the stars at the Hollywood Bowl. Nestled in one of Hollywood's many canyons, this amphitheater has been the Southern California destination for fans and performers for a century.
You see the Hollywood Bowl, you listen to great music there, the sound arrive amazing, Hollywood sign, you have the sky, you have all of that. So
Gustavo Dudamel is the music and artistic director for the LA Philharmonic. The night we were in attendance, he was conducting a salute to George Gershwin. If Dudamel looks right at home here, it might be because this is where he made his U.S. debut at the tender age of 24.
It's overwhelming, especially because the history, you see the Hollywood Bowl in films, in cartoons and all of that. And when you arrive here, you feel all of that historic background.
The Hollywood Bowl has often been the backdrop for great moments in TV and film. From beaches to the Beverly Hillbillies.
Well, there are your 20,000 seats.
And all of it under that iconic band shell, or at least one of them.
So this band shell was built in 2004, and in fact, it's the 5th shell of the Hollywood Bowl.
Chad Smith is CEO of the Los Angeles Philharmonic Association and a bit of a historian for the Hollywood Bowl. He says the original idea was to have a different band shell built every season, but that proved too expensive during the Great Depression. Fortunately, the shell, built in 1929, was iconic enough to stay in place for almost 75 years. And what a run it was. Over the decades, everyone from Ella Fitzgerald to Elton John have performed here. There was the famous Beatles concert with screams so loud they could reportedly be heard about a mile away on Hollywood Boulevard.
This was a pool.
A swimming pool?
It was full of water.
That was until 1968, when Jimi Hendrix showed up.
And he was playing, and the audience just started going more and more crazy. And at one point, people rushed down and jumped over that gray wall and started splashing around and swimming in the pool. And at that time, the leaders of the Hollywood Bowl said, I think it's probably time that we drain the bowl.
Today, that spot is one of the fancier sections to enjoy dinner and a show. But higher up, like way higher, the bowl makes $1 seats available for many of its shows. The $1 seats are a nod to the Hollywood Bowl's earliest days and the original vision of its founders.
Well, it was a group of theosophists, activists, politicians, artists, civic-minded people, but really it was a collection of really powerfully persuasive women who decided that what we needed in Hollywood was a space where we could present the great art forms for the widest possible audiences at low costs with almost no barriers to entry.
And a century later, that mission lives on. The bowl has survived a world war, a pandemic, financial ups and downs.
I was a Hollywood high school student, and I got a job here.
And 84-year-old Ron Goldman has been here to see a lot of it.
My job was to take a stack of programs, put them under my arm, and run up and down these stairs, hawking the program.
Goldman credits that job with making him the music fan that he is to this day.
It's hard not to fall in love with the bowl. Once you've come here, you hear great music in an extraordinary atmosphere, and it has helped me to really appreciate classical music, popular music, all forms of music, and that is something that has informed my life a great deal.
For Gustavo Dudamel, it's not just the music that moves him, it's also the silence.
Imagine the concentration, the silence of 18,000 people, you know, listening to the pianissimo.
The sound, or lack thereof, of 18,000 people together, listening in perfect rhythm.
That only happens, you know, in a place like the Hollywood Bowl.
A new destination for older adults in Los Angeles is reimagining what a senior center can be. We get an inside look with contributor Allison Aubrey.
At a time when 11,000 Americans turn 65 every day, Tony Scott can show you how it's done.
I love it. I love it. Anything involving music, whether it's dancing, instruments, singing, I'm all for it.
Tony is 79. And you know that old adage, age is just a number?
My age is what I make it.
The Zumba class keeps her on her toes, and a drumming circle creates community.
I'm always learning something and adding on to what I know already. It never occurred to me that this would be something that I would be doing.
Tony's exploring all these new things at GenSpace, here in the Koreatown neighborhood of LA. GenSpace is a reimagining of what a senior center can be. Its atrium spills over with light. Its classes are chock-a-block full, keeping people active and engaged. The floors are pliable, so they're easy on the joints. And the membership fee? Just $10 a month, thanks to the support and vision of its founder, Wallace Annenberg.
Truthfully, it's something I'd been thinking about for many, many years.
At 85, Annenberg has felt the sting of ageism and seen the loneliness epidemic unfold around her. Research shows lack of social connection actually increases the risk of early death, about as much as smoking 15 cigarettes a day.
I think loneliness is something we all feel, but with older people, it definitely puts it on another level.
Annenberg says in a culture that's obsessed with anti-aging,
life creates wrinkles. So what?
She wants to change the narrative.
I know living in Los Angeles, a city that just fetishizes youth, that I was going to do something that specialized, certainly, in an older generation that would be interested in coming together like this.
Wallace is the daughter of Walter Annenberg, who turned a family business into a 20th century media empire. Much of his philanthropy supported big institutions. But Wallace has her own focus, bringing people together. She's a believer in community spaces. There's a public beach house in Santa Monica, the Wallace Center for Performing Arts in Beverly Hills, a pet adoption center, and a wildlife crossing, all supported by the Annenberg Foundation. And now she's turned her attention to creating community for older people.
They're often in isolated circumstances. They're discarded by society, so to speak, retired from professions. That was something that I wanted to remedy in my way so that isolation would turn to inclusion.
You had the vision. It was in your mind for so many years. And now, here it is.
I feel very proud that I was able to do this.
She consulted the Stanford Center on Longevity to offer up the kind of space where older people can thrive. There's an intergenerational approach with interns from UCLA.
That's perfect.
And children who attend the nearby school come in to join the activities.
This place is exciting and positive and energetic, so it's more like summer camp for people that don't have to work anymore, you know? So just curves right around.
Member Ann Batchelor says GenSpace is a lifeline for her.
This place is phenomenal, and they need more of them in LA, and they need more of them around the country.
How can you replicate this model? Is it possible?
Well, it's very nice, but it takes leadership, it takes organization, it takes a team to do it. And if someone in that town has the passion for this, it could be replicated. I'd love to think so. I'd love to see one on every block.
As we saw earlier in Susan Spencer's report, creativity knows no boundaries. And by way of proof, consider this story from Luke Burbank.
The red's at the top. I put some blue in here, and then put some yellow in here.
Monica Valentine's art is a study in color.
Can you hold up the small beads and so I can kind of see what those look like?
Yeah.
Made up of thousands of small beads and sequins.
That's so small.
Yep.
Threaded on a pin and attached to objects.
3 beads in a sequin, yep.
The sculptures are colorful, bedazzled, three-dimensional, and eye-catching.
Are you ready to head upstairs?
And yet Valentine herself has been blind since birth.
All right, we're heading in here. You ready?
Yep.
Okay.
Valentine is one of 140 or so artists that work each day at Creative Growth, a nonprofit art collective in Oakland, California. The center provides its artists with museum-quality supplies, paint, textiles, iPads, and studio assistants who help them with their work, all at no cost to them.
A lot of people have been here for decades and decades.
Ariel Barrick is Creative Growth's volunteer coordinator.
Imagine if you were an artist and you came to an art studio every day and you had all the materials that you needed and you had a bunch of assistants who were...
Sounds pretty awesome.
Yeah, I know.
It's like basically like Jeff Koons and the people here.
Exactly.
Psychologist Elias Katz and his wife Florence, an artist, started Creative Growth in their garage in 1974 before moving to this converted auto body shop.
So this was Sal's auto body?
This was Sal's auto body.
Tom DiMaria has been Creative Growth's executive director for 25 years.
What's going on in 1974? Hippies, feminism, the Black Panthers here in Oakland. It's a time of enormous social change, and that was changing for people with disabilities as well.
Among those changes, a statewide bill that ended mass institutionalization of those with disabilities, flooding California with people in need of resources and services. The Katzes wanted to create a space where those folks could come, make art, and maybe most importantly, actually make a living from their work.
You know, in 1974, that's a radical idea.
To be clear, this is not just art therapy. It's art made by artists who just so happen to have disabilities.
You see that these artists have styles that they work in.
Oh, yeah.
There's a consistency to it.
Right. It's 6 hours a day for 5 days a week for decades. I mean, there's like really incredible art practices that have been developed.
One of Creative Growth's best-known artists is Dan Miller, who is autistic and mostly nonverbal, but communicates, says Tom DiMaria, through his work.
He has word skills, and he clusters words together like poetry, and the fact that he's communicating by writing words in his painting is, you know, it's really important to know that's part of who he is as a person.
Miller's paintings are in the collections of the Museum of Modern Art and the Smithsonian American Art Museum, and he was featured at the Venice Biennale, the so-called Olympics of the art world. Also in that exhibit, the late Judith Scott, one of Creative Growth's first commercially successful artists.
That made a nice kind of little form.
Born with Down syndrome, she was also deaf and never learned to speak or sign.
Can I look?
Scott's signature style was wrapping objects in yarn and scraps of fabric to create colorful organic sculptures that now sell for tens of thousands of dollars. Proceeds from sales are now one of the major sources of Creative Growth's funding.
And that percentage is significant.
Yes, we have art sales that surpass $1 million annually.
Wow. That money from art sales is split 50-50 between the artists and Creative Growth, just as they might be between other professional artists and their galleries.
How long did it take you to paint all of this?
It takes about 5 months.
This mural by William Scott was on display at a recent exhibit at SF MoMA, the San Francisco Museum of Modern Art. It featured some of the more than 100 pieces the museum acquired to mark Creative Growth's 50th anniversary. It's the largest collection of its kind in the U.S.
You have art that's in galleries all over the country.
That's right.
How does that feel?
Feels very good.
But those around William Scott say it's not the recognition, but the process that matters for him. Scott, who is autistic, uses his art to work through some very complicated issues. As a child, he spent weeks in a burn unit after an accident. This self-portrait shows 2 William Scotts, one with scars from those burns, the other showing him healed.
He needs the paintings to be real. He needs the world to change, to meet him, going back in time to paint out histories that he wants to disappear, to change the neighborhoods and the housing where he grew up. His intention is to change the world.
The doctor told me that his chances of being normal was 50-50.
Scott's mother, Edna Lee Arterberry, says she had to fight to provide him with opportunities. It wasn't until he was an adult that she found Creative Growth.
What's it been like seeing his development as an artist now that he comes here?
This was the place. this was the place that he was supposed to be. They opened the door for him.
I cannot think of a more important art institution in the United States. They pioneered the whole model for working with artists with disabilities, which there are almost 100 of them nationwide, built on Creative Growth's model.
Katie Siegel is SF MoMA's research director and led the acquisition of the museum's collection.
You just can't overestimate the importance of creative growth historically, socially, and also just in the lives of thousands and thousands of individuals. They've given people purpose, helped them find their true calling as an artist.
And those artists are giving back to the art world, too.
We're advancing artists with disabilities into being contemporary and cultural leaders, and they've not really been in that role before. So I think their impact on the greater society can be enormous, will be powerful, will be positive, and we're at a moment right now that will start to unroll.
Chatty Cathy here is a classic doll who's never at a loss for words.
Will you play with me?
Sure. And she's just one of a huge extended family of toys that's made the manufacturer a household name. Mo Rocca now with a toy story.
At age 54, she's had 145 careers and too many outfits to count.
We're into Barbie. We're into Barbie. Dr.
Barbie is one of the most popular toys on the planet, worth billions to her owner, Mattel.
And we're here.
Of course, Mattel is known for a lot more than Barbie. And yes, that is a bone shaker Hot Wheels hot rod I'm riding in. Eat your heart out.
Ready.
Let me hold the wheel
Would you please?
Yeah. Executive Vice President Tim Kilpin took me for a behind-the-scenes tour of Mattel's El Segundo, California Fun Factory.
We have our marketing and our design, packaging, engineering people all here under one roof. And all
walk inside this dream house and feel like a kid again. He-Man, Fisher-Price, Uno, the Magic 8-Ball. So much to see and hear.
Just pull the ring. You never know what she'll say next.
Tell me a story.
There's a chemistry lab where scientists make, what else? Slime. If designers have an idea for a new toy, well, they'll just order it up on a 3D printer. Oh my gosh. Wow.
Out of the ooze.
There's a department just for doll hair.
I just push out the pedal on the bottom, and I am sewing her hair.
And just around the corner, the Hot Wheels garage. Oh my gosh. So one loop is back. Whoa! It's a mini Detroit with its own car designers, like Alec Tam.
I had been in the car industry for a little bit of time after graduating from college, and it wasn't that fun. And when I got here, I get to design whole cars, and they're all different. It's not always a minivan. A Hot Wheels minivan has a jet engine on it.
They're the fastest metal cars you've ever seen.
To judge from the ads, the audience for these toys hasn't really changed.
Yeah! Which new racing cars will blow away the competition?
Something like Hot Wheels is clearly being marketed to boys, and something like Barbie is obviously being marketed to girls. Do you ever get any kind of pushback about gender stereotyping?
Oh, sure. We have people ask us, why don't we have a girl in a Hot Wheels commercial? The truth is the majority of kids playing are boys.
Brian Stockton is Mattel's CEO. We met him for tea at the American Girl Store Cafe.
This is really all about the girl creating a doll that looks like her or her best friend.
At about $100 a doll, the stores are a huge moneymaker for Mattel. This store has its own hospital and hair salon.
Okay. There you go. Enjoy the rest of your day. You're welcome.
It's all a long way from Mattel's humble roots in a garage. In 1945, Ruth and Elliot Handler started a small picture frame business out of it. But things changed quickly.
We had some slats of wood left over. Elliot looked at the slats of wood. He says, we can make dollhouse furniture.
Soon, Mattel was in the toy business and inking deals with Dr. Seuss and Disney. Then, in 1959, enter Barbara Millicent Roberts.
Barbie, you're beautiful. You make me feel my my Barbie doll is really real.
Keeping this baby boomer up to date is the job of designers like Robert Best and Evelyn Mazzocco.
I actually came to Mattel from the fashion industry, New York City.
So it could have been House of Chanel instead it's House of Barbie.
Exactly.
Yeah. The only difference is we're working at 11.5-inch scale.
Mattel has been the #1 toy maker for 19 years. But as we saw in this play pattern observation group for Thomas and Friends, yes, Mattel owns that too, kids aren't always easy to read. No, that's called vandalism. And they have more choices than ever before, says BMO Capital Markets toy analyst Garrick Johnson.
The way kids play hasn't changed much over the generations, but there are a lot more options, there are a lot more digital options out there, a lot of free options. I'd say that's probably the biggest thing right now, is we're in an era of free digital entertainment.
Jam into the ghoulish tunes, plug in your music too.
Which brings us to Monster High, a doll line featuring the kids of famous monsters going through high school. It's a billion-dollar brand, and to introduce it, Mattel went right to tweens' screens.
M-O-N-S-T-E-R, monsters, monsters, yes we are.
When we first launched this, we did a music video that we put on YouTube, and then that led us to the website that had webisodes on it.
So as a kid, you're just thinking, wow, here's this neat story. I had no idea that there's a toy associated with it.
The message to girls was, go meet these characters on the website.
And then, lo and behold, the doll is available.
Right.
Almost every Mattel brand has its own storyline that kids can find online.
I want to put together the perfect outfit for my date with Ken. It's our 43rd anniversary.
A Barbie reality series.
Let's go!
A Hot Wheels movie. The idea? Storylines that drive customers
Every month
to store shelves.
What cars will you drive?
Before we left, there was one more thing Mattel wanted to show us. It was top secret until now.
Boy, this is gonna be big.
This better be good.
I think you're gonna like this, all right?
Is it for a boy or a girl?
Well, I think it's for everybody, of all ages.
Ooh, okay.
This is special. This is unique. Are you ready? This is the Mo Rocca doll, best friend of Barbie.
From correspondent Elaine Quijano now, a treat in every sense of the word.
Hi, how are you? What can I get for you? For the sprinkles? Okay, awesome.
The mom and pop donut stores that dot California's strip malls carry mostly the same mouth-watering, doughy delights.
Thank you, my friend.
Thank you, have a nice day.
But beyond the rows of glazed chocolate and sprinkles lies a different kind of richness in the stories of the Americans behind the counter.
Hi, come on in.
Roughly 80% of donut shops in California, that's well over 1,000, are owned by Cambodian refugee families.
Soon the streets were choked with refugees.
They arrived in America in the late 1970s and early 80s, seeking safety as the communist Khmer Rouge committed genocide in Cambodia's killing fields. Millions were executed or disappeared. Many who escaped settled in California and found work in donut shops.
We immigrated right after the genocide.
Teresa Ngo owns Blinky's Donuts. Her family has owned donut stores since the 1980s.
I mean, at the beginning, once you get here, you don't speak the language and you have family that offers you a job, and next thing you know, they've been doing it for their whole life. So, and sometimes it's a few generations at a time.
There weren't a lot of resources that were really offered to refugees, and so they had to figure out how they could support each other.
Erin Curtis is an LA historian with the Lucas Museum of Narrative Art.
California has had a long history of donut culture, and it's become even more famous, I would argue, in the last 40 years or so, and that's really due to Cambodian refugees who kind of came in and expanded the donut culture here in Southern California very greatly.
Fair to say it's part of American culture then.
Yeah, absolutely.
A culture which now includes the pink donut box. Decades ago, Cambodian store owners bypassed expensive white boxes for cheaper pink boxes, which fit a dozen donuts perfectly. The move not only saved thousands of dollars, it also created an icon of sweetness.
I probably learned how to fold a donut box, a pink donut box, before I learned my ABCs.
Dorothy Chow manages a donut supply company. The daughter of Cambodian refugees, she grew up working in several of her parents' stores.
Nice to see you.
And considers herself a donut kid.
I mean, there were some days that I worked maybe 12, 13, 14-hour days. But then now as I'm older, I can look back at it with pride. Like I am a part of something bigger. I am part of this whole journey that our parents have been on. They came here with nothing. They needed all the help that they could with the donut shop, and we were there to help them and support them whenever we can.
A story which is now being unboxed.
That common shared experience of the donut is very American.
Fung Wen is a Cambodian-American artist who came to America as a refugee.
A lot of the work are portraits.
In her exhibit, Doughnut Hole, at Self-Help Graphics and Art in Los Angeles, she uses a pink donut box instead of a white canvas to capture a taste of the Cambodian-American refugee experience.
It's not canvas, it's a throwaway cardboard box. Underneath the sweet of the donut is actually intergenerational trauma and pain.
Fung's art focuses in large part on the second generation. She juxtaposes childhood images of donut kids with the portraits of the adults they've become.
And it's only this generation born in the United States to tell their parents, look, we want to honor you. You never had the time to even think about what you've been through. And we want to take this time to honor your story because you didn't have the time to write about it.
One of her portraits, Dorothy Chow.
When you saw your portrait, what did you think?
I had a sense of pride. I think maybe for the first time, I felt like growing up in America and maybe making the sacrifices that I did as a child was finally being seen.
Now, as an adult, Dorothy herself sees things differently, like the pink boxes she once folded as a little girl.
What do these donut boxes represent to you?
These donut boxes are an example of resilience and a representation of the refugee experience here in America.
High atop the remote, rocky slopes of California's White Mountains, the harsh conditions make it difficult for life to take root. But for a certain type of tree, and for those who have traveled here to study it, this place is paradise.
Did they finish one already?
They've done that one.
Okay,
Yeah.
they've done that one in there.
Do you want that one up there as well?
These gnarled bristlecone pines are the oldest individual trees in the world. Researchers like Andy Bunn have come to learn from the ancients.
Looking at this tree, would you have any idea how old it is?
So I've been doing this long enough to not try and play the guessing game too much. It'd be easy for this tree to be 1,000 years old. It would be easier for it to be 2,000 years old. Older than that would be unusual, but not impossible.
There are bristlecones in this grove that are more than twice as old.
It's remarkable to sit there and have your hand on one of those trees and know that it was growing when the pyramids were built.
By taking core samples from the trunks, a process which the researchers say doesn't harm the trees, it's possible to extract their hidden history. Dendrochronology is the science of dating tree rings.
Each tree ring, they're formed annually, is like a time capsule of the environment for that year from which it was formed. And it contains many different types of information. Chemical information, information on growth, climate information.
Matt Salzer is a dendrochronologist at the University of Arizona's Laboratory of Tree Ring Research, where he works alongside Professor Charlotte Pearson.
If you're trying to look at people in the past through time, tree rings give you a way to do it in a way that makes sense in a human life scale.
Pearson first became fascinated with the bristlecones after reading about an ancient volcanic eruption on the Greek island of Santorini.
It blew my mind that trees on either side of the world could possibly be used to date this thing to within a single year.
Massive eruptions can eject so much ash that they cool the entire planet. Since bristlecones put on narrow rings during especially cold years, scientists have used those rings to help establish an eruption date of 1560 BC.
We're moving backwards through time. Here we change between AD and BC, and we're into the BC period now, going backwards through time right to the very end where we come to 1700 BC.
By matching up core samples from live trees with wood from dead trees, it's possible to create a record that stretches back even further. The oldest known living bristlecone is estimated to be over 4,800 years old. Named Methuselah, the tree's precise location inside Inyo National Forest isn't publicized, and we won't be showing it to you here. Scientists are worried extra attention might attract vandals. Plus, in all likelihood, it's not actually the oldest.
Do you believe that there are older trees out there?
Almost certainly. It would be naive to think that we just happened to get the oldest tree, when we looked.
Age on the inside isn't always apparent on the outside. Up a long, winding dirt road from the Methuselah Grove stands the patriarch tree.
It really does feel like you're, in the presence of something magnificent.
Though this is the largest known bristlecone pine, it's a comparative youngster at around 1,500 years old.
There's not a lot of places in the world where you can get a feeling of being around trees like this.
What makes this place challenging for most species might be the secret to the bristlecone pine's success.
They live in this sort of moonscape where they have figured out a life history strategy where they can eke out a living in this incredibly difficult environment, and they don't really have to compete with other organisms.
For Andy Bunn, the climate record written in the rings offers guidance for how we might think about what's happening in the present as we plan for the future.
What we're seeing increasingly is that a lot of the climate events that we are experiencing and living through right now have no precedent in the paleoclimate record, so we really are moving into uncharted territory.
Like us, bristlecones mark time in years. But their lives are so long, these twisting sentinels see a far bigger picture.
Does it give you some perspective on your own lifespan?
Yeah, definitely. It gives me not only perspective on my own lifespan, but also on sort of human civilization, and to look back and to see everything that humanity has accomplished, and to go back and read the rings of these trees and to think about what humanity was like at different periods while those trees were growing is incredibly humbling.
Theirs is a solitary, even lonely life, but they've perhaps never been more essential. Connor Knighton takes a look at fire lookouts high in California's backcountry.
Perched high atop the Bolivar Lookout in Northern California, Karita Knisley spends her summer scanning the skies. Most days, all she sees are clouds and trees, the firs and pines of Klamath National Forest. She'll record a family of deer with her phone. A hummingbird or two might stop by. But what she's looking for is smoke, because where there's smoke, there's fire.
We are going to begin tonight with that dramatic and deadly outbreak of wildfires now burning across much of the West.
This year's wildfire season has gotten off to a record-breaking start, and it's only expected to get worse. In towers across the country, lookouts like Knisley are working to spot those fires before they blaze out of control.
This job is very fun. I mean, it's so unique, but it's a very serious job too. People's lives, property depend on you.
This is only Knisley's second year fire spotting. She moved from Virginia to Northern California to be closer to her grandkids.
So you moved out here to be close to the grandkids, and then you take a job on the top of the mountain?
Yeah. This is sort of my retirement plan. 5 months working in the towers and 7 months off.
From May to October, Knisley spends 4 days a week in this one-room tower, which serves as home and office.
Gust to 15, southeast, and 2.
She records the weather, radios in reports, and keeps her eyes peeled for lightning strikes.
Does it ever get lonely?
Not really. I don't get lonely up here, and you stay pretty busy.
Of course, there's still plenty of downtime. Knisley uses hers to work on her family's genealogy.
A lot of people who are lookouts that are writers, And that might even be one of the reasons they come to a lookout. You know, what a nice place, you know, solitude place to continue with your writing.
That's exactly why Jack Kerouac took a job as a lookout on Desolation Peak in Washington during the summer of 1956. Today, those in search of solitude can rent a tower. The Forest Service has made some of the decommissioned sites available for nightly bookings. While there were once thousands of active towers across the country, these days only a few hundred are still staffed. The buildings are expensive to maintain, and modern technologies like drones and webcams have replaced some of the functions of a lookout. But at a remote, rugged forest like Klamath, they're still very much in use. There are currently 8 active towers, 2 of which were recently evacuated due to nearby fires.
Out here, we don't have that luxury of cell phones, and we have a lot of terrain that people don't see, so we rely on them very much.
Kyle McLeitchek is the forest's fire prevention officer.
When you're looking for a lookout, what are you looking for?
I guess reliability is the biggest thing up there. They're there by themselves. We need somebody that's self-motivated and reliable.
Back in 1913, the forest received an unexpected application from a Miss Hallie Morse Daggett. She became the first female lookout in Forest Service history and held the position for 15 years.
It's pretty spectacular to walk in Hallie Daggett's boots. She had to ride a mule up here. I get to bring a fort.
Jody King is the lookout at Eddy Gulch, the same location where Daggett served a century ago. A California native, King grew up wanting to be a lookout.
10 or 12, I knew this is what I wanted to do. It's awesome to watch the forest change from sunrise to sunset. It's spectacular.
King has worked as a lookout for 30 years, using a tool that was first developed back in Hallie Daggett's era.
At the first sign of smoke, they are accurately located by instruments.
I'm surprised that this is still the way that you're doing this job.
It's accurate. It's perfect. It can't be made any better.
The Osborne Firefinder, invented in 1911, helps lookouts plot the location of smoke so that they can relay those coordinates to firefighters on the ground. 50% of all fires on the Klamath are first identified by the lookouts. And given this summer's dry conditions, they've got their work cut out for them. That sense of responsibility is what keeps King coming back.
I'm watching out over my country here. I love this land. It's home.
Hundreds of bird species are endangered across the Americas, mostly due to the destruction of nesting sites. But Connor Knighton tells us about one species at risk from a very different threat.
The California condor is the largest flying land bird in North America. What it lacks in looks, it makes up for in majesty. Its 9.5-foot wingspan leaves quite an impression if you're lucky enough to ever see one. Or 20.
Cinda Mickles was away last weekend, and when she came home, she found that 15 to 20 condors had descended on her home in Tehachapi.
This scene, captured in May, would have been unthinkable just 3 decades ago. Back then, there wasn't a single condor left in the wild. In the late 1980s, the last few California condors in existence were brought into captivity to save the species from extinction. Since then, the vultures have been bred and slowly reintroduced into the wild. There are now more than 500 total, a number that is still small enough that biologists still number them all.
They're all here for a reason, and it's not a place you want your number, because these are birds that have passed.
Chris Parrish is the director of global conservation at the Peregrine Fund. While the reappearance of condors in our skies is certainly a success story, the endangered birds are still struggling. Researchers eventually learned why.
54% of all death in our population that we monitor that intensively is lead poisoning.
Lead is a dangerous neurotoxin. It's also what most ammunition is made out of. The birds are dying from bullets. They're not getting shot by them. They're literally eating lead.
Scavenging wildlife that are obligates, like the condor, they only consume things that are already dead.
Here's the problem. When hunters kill an animal, like a deer, they often leave behind some of the remains. But they may be unintentionally leaving behind tiny fragments of lead. Lead that ends up in the condors when they swing by to enjoy a meal.
Some of those tiny fragments that strip off of those bullets we've used for 100 years can poison wildlife.
In Marble Canyon, Arizona, Parrish's team traps and tests condors.
She's still high.
Most have detectable lead levels, so they treat the birds, then release them once they're healthy.
We're in a holding pattern. We've come to a real fine understanding of what the problem is, and we know how to solve it. Now we have to go solve it.
But solving this can feel like a long shot.
If this wound channel were in the thoracic cavity of a big game animal, this is what's happening in there, and that's where those fragments come from.
Parrish is on a mission to convince hunters to hunt with non-lead ammunition, like copper bullets, doing demonstrations across the country. It's a world he knows well.
I'm kind of a redneck hunter biologist, and these hunters are my people.
Unfortunately, copper ammunition is generally more expensive. It's harder to find, and it's just not what people are used to.
Changing tradition is hard. It's not as simple as, here's the science, here's the logic, so do the right thing.
In 2019, California instituted a statewide ban on lead ammunition for hunting. But the California condor is also found in Utah and Arizona, states where there aren't bans. Parrish doesn't believe a legislative solution is the answer.
We have a speed limit, but people break that law too. And I'm not saying the hunters are a bunch of bad actors. I'm just saying if they don't understand it, they might well write it off as a piece of unnecessary legislation that really isn't a problem.
It seems like a very difficult law to enforce when you're out in the woods.
Almost impossible.
Instead, Parrish favors a voluntary approach. He co-founded the North American Non-Lead Partnership to reach out to hunters. So far, the response has been encouraging. An estimated 90% of deer hunters on Arizona's Kaibab Plateau now hunt with non-lead or pack out all remains.
We know that hunters are the only ones that can solve this problem. So by pointing to them and saying you're doing a bad thing, that's not going to work. You need to appeal to their conservation ethic and their history of conservation and saying, here's yet another opportunity where we as hunters can leave a healthier environment for all of the critters that live in it, not just those that we hunt, for future generations to enjoy.
One day, Parrish hopes hunters across the country will shoot with alternative ammunition to protect all scavenging animals. Until then, he'll keep getting the word out to help get the lead out.
Steve Hartman this morning has a story of something lost and something found.
She's got one. Wine. Fishermen are known for their fish stories.
Holy mackerel!
But the whopper that charter boat captains Mark Paisano and Paul Strasser are about to unspool is all too real.
That story, it just really throws a loop at me.
It was catastrophic. Imagining what she went through that day is unspeakable, really.
35 years ago, Paul and Mark were piloting a charter back from Catalina Island off the California coast when they came across a capsized boat and an orange life vest bobbing in the waves. Mark jumped in and pulled out 9-year-old Desiree Rodriguez, the only survivor. Her mother, father, sister, aunt, and uncle all perished. Desiree had been in the water 20 hours.
It was against all odds that she was still coherent and alive.
This was the last time Paul and Mark ever saw little Desiree, and they've always wondered about her.
Okay.
Which is why a podcaster named Phil Friedman invited the men on his show.
Mark Paisano.
Hi. Along with a surprise guest.
I'm going to let her introduce herself to you.
I'm Desiree.
The brims of their ball caps weren't nearly wide enough to hide the joy. 35 years not nearly long enough to erase the bond.
I'm so happy.
When I connected with them, they brought a lot of closure.
Since then, they have stayed in touch. And not long ago, Paul and Mark invited Desiree, the aunt who raised her, and the rest of her family to take a little trip. It was Desiree's first time back on the ocean, a journey that would bring her full circle.
This is basically the area right here.
Right back to where it all happened.
I'm kind of glad we can come together today and kind of heal.
The bodies of her father, sister, and uncle were never recovered. This was their first memorial, a commemoration of the family she lost, but also a celebration of the guardian angels she gained.
Right, yeah. And that's how I feel. I hope to know you guys forever.
You know, everybody says God works in mysterious ways. I feel like, you know, let's find you.
Fishermen usually tell stories about the one that got away, but Paul and Mark will always cherish the one who got to stay.
Something really big just happened to something really big in the hills over Hollywood. Luke Burbank tells us all about it.
No one thought things would turn out the way they did. It was just that back in 1923, real estate developers S.H. Woodruff and Tracy Schultz had a problem.
So most people were living in downtown LA, south of Wilshire, and they came up with this gimmick of how do we attract people from downtown LA into the Hollywood Hills to buy land.
Sales for their new housing development nestled at the foot of the Santa Monica Mountains were sluggish. So businessman Jeff Zeranim says they had an idea.
They came up with this gigantic sign that said Hollywood Land. It was only supposed to last about 18 months.
That 18 months has stretched out to 100 years. A story only Hollywood could write, a temporary real estate ad that's become one of the most iconic images on planet Earth.
Here we go.
And it's still here thanks to Zeranim and his fellow members of the Hollywood Sign Trust.
Some people ask me, you know, how do you get this job? It's not really a job. It's a volunteer position. There's no pay in maintaining the Hollywood sign. I do this for the love of Hollywood and for the sheer joy of doing it.
Part of why the sign is so iconic, the sheer number of times it's shown up in movies and TV over the years.
And a perfect spot for the starting line of the amazing race.
The Hollywood sign has also drawn countless dreamers to Los Angeles over the years, looking for their moment in the spotlight, which is where Adam Burke comes in.
Hollywood Land was really about putting LA on the map as being one of the creative capitals of the world. So it was really designed to become what it really has become, which is a global marquee for not just LA, but for the film and television industry.
Burke runs the LA Tourism and Convention Board and thinks this might be the most valuable sign in the world.
Last year alone, visitors to the broader LA area generated $34.5 billion of business sales to our local community.
Some of which ends up in Chris Nye's pocket.
I have a first aid kit and will deal with anything. There are no bathrooms on the hike.
Nye is a tour guide who leads groups of excited tourists up to a spot near the sign on most days. He says those tourists are excited because seeing the sign is like seeing a celebrity.
They need something, sort of a cliche to say, you know, live from Los Angeles or from Hollywood, so they keep taking the same picture of these 9 stupid letters on the side of Mount Lee over and over and over again, and that's why it's become so iconic.
Now, you say 9 stupid letters, but you're leading tours up there, so you must think it's pretty cool.
Well, what I enjoy is the enthusiasm that people have of seeing the sign for the first time and sharing that with people.
Is this the only way down to the letters?
This is it, man.
We were enthusiastic as well, and thanks to Jeff Zeranim, our CBS crew was allowed to go
sidestep.
All right. Right down to the sign.
I assume this is how Clark Gable used to do it.
Yeah, I never saw him do it, though. This is where it really sinks in to see how
my goodness.
large these letters are.
Wow. Amazing.
There you have it. from down below, you think that all the letters are in the same plane, but you can see that they're all offset from one another.
In fact, it's that undulation determined by the hillside that allows the Hollywood Chamber of Commerce to trademark the sign. Otherwise, it would just be a word.
You can really see from this angle that they're not in the same plane. They're all, kind of facing in different directions.
The first version of the sign was made of wood and sheet metal and covered in thousands of lights. But by 1944, high winds and weather had taken their toll.
Some of the letters had fallen over, the H had fallen down. It said Hollywoodland for a long time.
By the late 1970s, the letters LAND were long gone, and the sign was in grave disrepair. So the Hollywood Chamber of Commerce went looking for $250,000 to replace it, and got the money from some unlikely benefactors.
First person who actually stepped up to the plate was Alice Cooper.
The rock star.
The rock star, up-and-coming rock star. Alice Cooper is the first one to donate $27,777.
As did Hugh Hefner, publisher of Playboy, Andy Williams, the singer, actor, and cowboy Gene Autry, and the guy who invented that car price guide, the Kelley Blue Book.
This is the entire crew of the guys that worked on the Hollywood sign in 1978. So all of their names are welded into the I-beam of the O.
Of course, this is Hollywood, home of the facelift, and the Hollywood sign has had its share over the years.
Do you think it's going to be here 100 years from now?
100%. The audaciousness of the project, to me, is really still symbolic of the way LA approaches anything. We don't do things halfway. It's really go big or go home.
As it turns 100, the Hollywood sign is, as they say around here, ready for its next close-up.
When John Sweeney spotted his dream home, all its realtor had to do was drop a name.
She said that this is a Paul Williams house. Do you know who Paul Williams is? Of course, I knew who Paul Williams was, but I feigned ignorance. I didn't want to show any sign that I knew him, that I was extremely excited and that I wanted this house very, very badly. But trust me, there were 1,000 little boys on Christmas morning jumping around inside of me.
Take a tour with John and his wife Cheryl.
The gold leaf
On
ceiling.
the gold leaf, wow. And you'll see why a home designed by Paul Revere Williams is something to cherish.
The house itself is a piece of art.
Mm-hmm.
As you've looked around the house, you'll see that we are collectors of African American art, and our biggest showpiece is the house itself.
In Los Angeles, Williams homes, known for their grace and elegance, are a hot commodity, with one recently selling for $61 million.
This is the crescent wing. The iconic logo of the Beverly Hills is actually his handwriting.
Wow. Karen Hudson is Williams' granddaughter, and she's proud to show off perhaps his most glamorous achievement, the crescent wing of the famed Beverly Hills Hotel. Its distinctive entrance, the color scheme, and curves all remain as he designed them.
It is just as iconic and just as classic as it was then. At a time when he could not stay here, he could not eat here.
As described in Hudson's 2 books on his life, when Williams was born in 1894, a 6-decade career in architecture hardly seemed likely.
Orphaned before the age of 4, he was raised by a loving foster mother who believed he could do anything. Teachers were very clear you should not be an architect because white people won't hire you, black people can't afford you, and he persevered. He just believed that was what he was here to do, and that's what he was going to do.
In the 1920s, Williams' talent as a young architect met good luck. Through a series of improbable connections, he was hired to design one showcase home after another. His career was launched within the realities of the time.
It was not appropriate for him to sit next to his white clients, particularly not a white woman, and so he learned to draw upside down.
Upside down.
Upside down. So if I said, Mark, do you want a big kitchen? He would just upside down start drawing it and sketching it in front of you.
That's also a wow.
That's a wow.
That he could do that.
That's a wow.
It was a performance that caught the eye of Hollywood. Soon he was designing homes for stars like Lon Chaney, Barbara Stanwyck, and Lucy and Desi.
All it takes is one party. You go to a party and say, who was your architect?
They could see his creativity.
They could see his creativity, they could appreciate it, and they could show off.
Frank Sinatra showed off his Paul R. Williams home on CBS to Edward R. Murrow.
Tell me, Frank, what room are we in now?
Well, this is the combination dressing room, Ed, and bedroom with my unique-looking fireplace with the Chinese red. I'm sorry you can't see the colors.
As for Williams' own home, for the first 3 decades of his career, he lived here with his wife and 2 daughters in a house currently being restored.
He was living on the same block as people who worked on the bus or people who worked in people's homes.
At the time, this LA neighborhood was effectively segregated, and he wrote about it in a 1937 magazine essay called I Am a Negro.
What he said was, today I designed a home in one of the most beautiful vistas in the country, a home that I could afford, but I come home to my relatively inexpensive, modest home because I'm a Negro.
I call him the Michael Jordan of African American architects.
Roland Wiley is an LA architect and something of a Williams superfan.
He had this rare combination of talent, personality, vision,
and a commitment, Wiley says, to more than just his white clients.
He was quietly doing all of his community work. He was quietly helping to build banks. He was very much interested in uplifting our race of African Americans.
Didn't he also design affordable housing?
He designed small houses, affordable houses.
In all, Williams, who died in 1980, designed some 3,000 buildings, and he was the first black member of the American Institute of Architects. Today, African American membership hovers at just 2%.
His God-given talent allowed him to transcend that, and that's what I think.
But with all the talent in the world, you still have to get up the next day and go back out there, try to make it in a world where people don't expect someone like you to make it.
But that's what's fascinating about it, that he did that.
After John and Cheryl Sweeney bought their 1927 home, John, a veteran civil rights attorney, found the original covenant.
None of the real estate herein described shall be sold, conveyed, leased, or rented to or occupied by any person other than that of the Caucasian race.
This house was designed not for an African American, not for an Asian American or a Latino American or Caucasian American. It was designed for a person who appreciates fine things, and that's the story this house tells. This is the sun porch.
To ensure that Williams' legacy endures, the Sweeneys worked to have their home declared a LA Historic Cultural Monument.
This house is now legally protected.
It is now legally protected. This is Mr. Williams' vision, and it won't be disturbed.
A fitting tribute for the master architect with a groundbreaking life.
Kelly Kenny was walking in her Los Angeles neighborhood one day when she came across a fairy garden. And while staring at these tree trunk trinkets, she felt an alter ego emerging.
On my walk back, I was brainstorming ideas of what my name was going to be. And
wait, what do you mean what your name is going to be?
My imagination just kind of took over, and I just started thinking like, well, maybe if I left a note like as a fairy, that would be really fun to do.
And so the next night, she did just that. Left a note for whoever built the garden. "My name is Sapphire," she wrote. "I'm one of the fairies who lives in this tree." The next day, a 4-year-old girl named Eliana wrote back. The first exchange in what has evolved into a remarkable friendship. 9 months of letters and presents and glitter galore. They traded photos with one another and turned a year of disappointment into a season of wonder. Eliana's mom, Emily, couldn't be more grateful.
Can you believe the extent that she went to for all this?
Oh, like we were constantly floored. Like the gifts that she would give were just so personal and so kind. And we were just like, we don't even know you. Yeah.
Eliana felt like the luckiest girl in the world. But what she wanted more than any present was to meet her new friend. And that's when Sapphire remembered that fairies can, on very rare occasion, turn human size. Which is how, earlier this month, Sapphire appeared.
She turned around and saw me, and the way that she looked at me, I'll never forget that. It was just really magical. So
Kelly says at the start of this pandemic, she was in a dark place. But with a little imagination and a whole lot of kindness, she found her light. And says you can too.
I want people to believe that they don't have to be a fairy to give a little bit of magic to somebody else, and it doesn't have to be a child either. That true love for one another, that's real.
Real as it gets.
Cowboys aren't just the stuff of movies and old TV westerns. Far from it. Michelle Miller tells us that for cowboys and cowgirls of a certain storied tradition, their time is now.
On a recent Sunday in June, Randy Hook saddled up his horse to join hundreds of other marchers in Compton, California.
It's not a protest, it's a peace ride.
Hook is the leader of the Compton Cowboys.
We're not going out there to cause havoc. We're going out there to showcase what it looked like to come together.
I'm the only woman a part of the Compton Cowboys.
Kiara Monique also rode that day alongside her mother and her 3-year-old daughter.
We stand out more because this is something that you wouldn't necessarily see in any other neighborhood, especially in Compton.
When people think of Compton, I think, there are images of early 90s gangster rap, Dr. Dre, Eazy-E, NWA, and there's also images of violence and death.
Walter Thompson Hernandez has written a book about the Compton Cowboys, a generation of young black people who learned to ride as children. Their motto, "The streets raised us, horses saved us."
Each one will tell you in different ways that if it wasn't for these horses, they feel that they wouldn't be alive today. The ranch to me is so much more than a horse ranch.
It's okay, Mama.
It's an oasis and a place where people go to heal and to find meaning.
Many Americans first learned of black cowboys and cowgirls when they appeared in recent protest marches around the country.
Unfortunately, in the United States, is that we're invisible in a lot of different places.
What do we have here? This is our Black Cowboy Walk of Fame.
In fact, there is a long, proud history of black cowboys in America.
When people come in and see our little house museum and all of these wonderful pictures of actual cowboys, it blows you away.
Terry Gentry is a docent at the Black American West Museum in Denver, Colorado.
Almost 1 in 3 cowboys was black.
1 in 3?
Yes.
Among them, Edward Cheatham, Nat Love, and Bass Reeves.
He arrested over 3,000 people during his career as a deputy marshal. From what we understand, the stories of the Lone Ranger were based on Bass Reeves' life.
After the Civil War, says Gentry, black cowboys played a key role in settling the West.
Why would the cowboy way appeal to so many of these formerly enslaved people?
There's an incredible amount of freedom with managing cattle. It's a very, very tough way to make a living, but I would imagine there's a lot of gratification in being out on the open plains underneath the stars.
Maurice Wade learned to ride on his grandfather's farm, but
I used to watch cowboys on TV, and I never saw an African-American cowboy. If we did see one, he was like on the chuck wagon on trail drives.
Then the Bill Pickett Invitational Rodeo started up, named for famous rodeo bulldogger Bill Pickett.
And you were like, whoa, there are a lot of us.
Yes, I was, whoa. In fact, I said, well, what spaceship these brothers come from?
He still competes and also champions young riders. Like 12-year-old Savannah Roberts, who won the Bill Pickett Ladies Barrel Racing Championship in Denver this year.
Is the adrenaline rush deep?
The adrenaline is more towards the beginning of the run, but once I get going, I don't feel anything when I'm running.
And then just let him go to second and third.
Her sister Aaliyah is her coach.
Good girl.
And also competes.
set and look.
Every black kid in America should have an opportunity to experience what we experience.
Back in Compton, one of the Cowboys' main goals is to pass on the tradition that's been a gift to them.
We all have a passion for horses. We all have a passion for giving back. And we all want to help our community be able to give them experience that we have gotten from horses.
What brings the Compton Cowboys together is the idea that if they don't teach the next generation, that they might be Compton's last black cowboys.
Setting the table to look picture perfect requires a keen eye and a steady hand. And that's just for starters in the rather unusual competition Connor Knighton witnessed firsthand.
Right here? Okay.
Welcome to the world of competitive tablescaping.
Contestants, you have 10 minutes left.
Do we need to turn it one more that way?
A contest that is equal parts creativity
Forks, I moved all the forks.
and cutlery. The placement of the soup spoons, salad forks, and wine glasses is measured down to the millimeter.
Yeah, that one's gonna need to be pushed this way a little bit.
But these contestants are also responsible for creating and crafting a tabletop theme, from dinner with Dr. Seuss to an RV picnic. If you can imagine it, you can tablescape it. And this crop of tables at the recent Los Angeles County Fair is especially impressive.
People brought their A game this year.
Yet only one of these entrants will be crowned Best in Show.
There you are. They've all worked so hard, they're all so beautiful, and we're gonna win.
Which will it be?
My God.
Contestants, time is now up. Tables are set.
Well, wait. Where are my manners? I was about to give you the dessert, and I haven't even served the appetizer yet. Let's back up a little bit.
But the housekeeper must tell Betty she has noticed a few errors. A napkin is out of place. The butter knife belongs on the butter dish, not next to the meat knife. And a water glass is missing.
This is table setting. Tablescaping adds decorations and a theme. While it's typically done for dinner parties, it's an annual event at county fairs all across the country. People have been positioning plates for prizes at the Los Angeles County Fair since the 1930s. Brandon Boyer-White witnessed the competition as a kid. The tables were her favorite part of the fair.
I remember driving home from the fair and trying to get like the friends that I had gone with. I was like, what would your table be? Like 12 years old and they didn't want to play the game.
Then the real work begins.
2 decades later, she finally found someone to play the game with her.
All right.
Shannon Waters
Gorgeous.
is now her partner in life
Blower?
Yeah, right there.
Right there?
Right there.
Okay.
and in tablescaping.
How many do
Just
you?
one to start.
Okay, so
The couple entered last year for the first time. This year, they know the players.
Oh my God, I love the base of your rocket. It's so 1950s.
If anyone sits at the head of the tablescaping world, it's Bonnie Overman.
Bonnie is our North Star. She's the standard bearer. She's the one to beat.
Throughout the years, these are my bestest shows.
Oh, they get their own special box.
They do.
Overman has been in the game for more than 2 decades.
My husband goes, why are you doing this? Because I have to. I want to win, and I want to put my creation out for other people to see.
For this year's competition, Bonnie has created a table that commemorates the 50th anniversary of Disney's Haunted Mansion ride. She's been working on it for months.
It's almost like having a baby and putting the baby out there. It's a lot.
Ultimately, it all comes down to the judges.
No fingerprints or anything.
Yeah, the mirror is flawless. I love the height on this one. I think it's, and then the Martian coming out. How many people are needed for a bingo game, do you know?
Oh, as many as you like.
As many as you like.
Like the palm tree feathers.
Yep.
It works really well here.
When he's not judging tables, Ben DeWald is a professor at the Collins College of Hospitality Management at nearby Cal Poly Pomona.
So this is multi-unit restaurant.
DeWald has worked at fine dining restaurants all across the world, so he's a stickler for making sure the tables have utensils that match their menus.
There was one that had like a very nice setup, but they had 2 forks, 1 knife, but the appetizer was a cheese platter, and they had no knife for the cheese.
Yeah.
In such a cutthroat competition,
It would be nice if they had like a knife for the cheese, right?
a missing cheese knife can knock you out of the top spot. On opening day, contestants and the public get to see the scores for the first time.
Canopy height is perfect.
Yeah, I thought so too.
Need trivet for coffee pot. I don't know what a trivet is.
The trivet is the item that you put underneath the hot dish.
What did they dig me for? Napkin fold is upside down? Who says?
They don't want the fold.
I definitely want a judge's inquiry.
In the end, Shannon Waters and Brandon Boyer-White's Picnic on the Moon table took home second place.
Like up here? Yeah.
For Bonnie Overman, it's yet another Best in Show.
Best in show. I'm so excited. Oh my gosh.
100 out of 100. It's a perfect score.
Look, I realize how unusual this all seems.
I kind of like that.
But think of it this way. In a world where it's hard to get people to find the time to gather around a table together, these contestants have found a way to get thousands of people to spend time gathering around theirs.
With Luke Burbank, you're invited to take a deep dive into one very chilly hobby.
It's just before dawn, one cold morning a few weeks back, and members of San Francisco's South End Rowing Club are about to do something kind of extreme. Voluntarily plunge into the cold, murky waters of San Francisco Bay. With one very nervous TV correspondent tagging along.
I was terrified. It was dark. It was scary. It was cold.
Fran Hegler still remembers her first swim.
So if you're a pool swimmer and you get into this water, first thing you'll notice is it's freezing and it feels like someone's standing on your chest. The second thing that you notice is you can't see anything, right? So if you're swimming in a pool, you know, you have a lane line and you know where you're going. If you're here, it's like, where do I go? And you can't see anything, which is terrifying because you know that there are things that are living in the water and you can't see them. So anyway, I just swam out into the cove.
Hegler not only survived the swim, she fell in love. And 7 years later is actually the president of the South End Club. Founded in 1873 in what was then the south side of San Francisco, the club was at first men's only. It was started by stevedores and longshoremen who worked on the water but wanted to row in their leisure time. But it was when the club moved north to what's now known as Aquatic Park, not far from Alcatraz and the future site of the Golden Gate Bridge, that the club helped popularize open water swimming, both locally and around the world.
The fog-shrouded Golden Gate Bridge is the backdrop for a channel-crossing swim race. Spectators aboard a sightseeing boat crowd the rail nearest the swimmers, who brave 56-degree water temperature.
These days, South End swimmers range from beginners to former Olympians. Some even make frequent laps to Alcatraz, about 1.25 miles away depending on the current. The club boasts some 1,700 members with only a single part-time employee. Almost everything else is handled by members volunteering and looking after each other in the open water.
It unplugs you from everything. You know, it's so cold that survival is the only thing that you're thinking. You know that you're dying and, you know, you come out of the water and you feel like $1 million.
South Ender Miguel Melendez volunteers his time kayaking with swimmers in making those long swims.
When we have a big swim or a private swim, the kayaker is the one who navigates, and the swimmer, he or she follows the kayaker, and you feed him every 30 minutes on a long-distance swim.
I've heard it's also a decent hangover cure.
You have no idea. The colder, the better.
The first thing anyone will ask you is, oh my God, there's sharks out there. Aren't you afraid of sharks? Well, yeah, I'm afraid of sharks, but I'm not worried about them. Sharks are not interested in people. For me, I'm more worried about sea lions. Most people don't know to be afraid of them. Currents make me nervous, but boats are the scariest thing, actually. And hypothermia is a little scary, too.
It's amazing hypothermia is so low on the list. Because that seems like it'd be higher up in that. It's very cold out there.
I mean, I think part of open water swimming here, especially if you're doing it all year round without a wetsuit, is sort of understanding when your body is telling you to get out of the water. So I kind of know that. Like, I lose my left pinky. That's the first thing I start feeling numb. And then my hand starts to get a claw feeling. And when I get that, I know I need to get out. Meaning I need to, like, okay, that's time to go in.
Back on the beach before our swim.
All right, we doing this?
The thing I was really looking forward to was the sauna, which I'd be heading straight for once we were done. The plan was for me and the South End regulars to swim out into the bay.
Don't forget your goggles. Oh, yeah.
Finally, it was time to meet my frigid fate. Following the club's mantra of 50 strokes to fabulous,
That is brisk.
I did my best to push through the cold and even got a little cocky.
What's the holdup?
But pride goeth before destruction. And also, apparently, before exhaustion.
Is this all right? Is this legal?
Because a mere 10 minutes later, I was spent.
Ready? On 3. 1, 2, kick.
With me now safely and embarrassingly hauled into the rescue boat, the real swimmers went on to complete their morning ritual of testing their bodies and minds in the cold waters off of San Francisco.
When I was young, I can eat 30.
You can eat how many?
30.
30 of these?
Yes, that's a whole meal.
It's hard to imagine life without Chinese dumplings.
You sound like an American college student.
Yeah, I can eat 30 even now. See this?
95-year-old Cecilia Chang showed us a whole variety, including these pot stickers, at San Francisco's Yangtze restaurant. But when Chang first came to San Francisco's Chinatown in 1960, you couldn't find them here. What did pass for Chinese food in America was foreign to the Chinese-born Chang.
Back in China, you didn't know mugu gai pan.
Never heard of it.
Egg foo young.
Never heard of it.
Chop suey.
No, never heard of it.
But when a botched business deal stuck Chang with the lease for a restaurant, an accidental restaurateur was born. Chang grew up the 7th daughter of 9 in a 52-room mansion with 2 chefs. She wasn't supposed to cook, and she hadn't until 1961, when she opened her legendary restaurant, The Mandarin, and introduced America to the grandeur of authentic Chinese cuisine, with dishes like Peking duck, Kung Pao chicken, and sesame shrimp.
Did you find that Americans were adventurous eaters or?
Not at all. You're adventurous in certain things. About food, they don't want to even try.
And at first, few gave the Mandarin a try. It wasn't even in Chinatown. Then, one day, powerful San Francisco columnist Herb Caen stopped by for a meal.
The business was slow, and today is so busy. What happened? And then there's people walking, said you're in Herb Caen's column. I said, who is Herb Caen? You don't know? This is the guy, he can break you and make you.
For 30 years, an elegant Madam Chang presided over the elegant restaurant that became a mandatory stop for bold-faced names.
John Lennon is the best customer of mine.
Not to mention Freddie Mercury of Queen, Luciano Pavarotti, and Jack Nicholson.
You know, Jack Nicholson starred in Chinatown, but he wasn't going to Chinatown, he was going to Mandarin.
Yeah, because Jack Nicholson is a big tipper. People love him. When he walk in, everybody say, "Oh, boss lady, can you give him to my table?" Everyone, because Frank Sinatra same way, big table.
The documentary Soul of a Banquet shows that the food world also took note, from James Beard to Julia Child to Alice Waters. Chang taught them.
She guided us through the whole menu and how we were to experience Chinese food.
Even though she's retired, the Imperial Chang still commands authority.
So I don't like to follow. I like to do something different. I'm not a copycat. I want to do something on my own.
It may be a myth that Marco Polo brought noodles from China, but it's a fact that Cecilia Chang brought respect for one of the world's oldest cuisines.
And tell me the truth. Every once in a while, do you ever go and sneak some chop suey?
I think right now somehow chop suey is really disappearing.
I think I know who to blame.